Back
Great to be here.
day two DigiMarCon, and you spoke yesterday. You're back today, hanging out, networking, and
Yeah.
we're here talking about his book, which might be hard. You guys can see that the lighting's kind of
I
hard.
did it in white.
Yeah, it's white,
I
so it's
didn't
kind of hard
realize
to
there's
see. But it's
cameras in a dark room.
yeah, exactly. Product-led SEO, the why behind building your organic growth strategy. Thanks for sitting down. Why don't you tell the DigiMarCon audience out there in social media land about you, about your book, and everything you got going on?
Yeah, so I'm a growth advisor. I work with companies and I help them to understand what their SEO opportunity is and then to build efforts around that SEO opportunity. So initially I spent years as an in-house SEO, building teams, creating opportunities in-house, doing things that in-house employees do. And I was very fortunate in that I developed a methodology towards SEO and towards really scaling out SEO that wasn't around, I'm going to write a piece of content and rank that piece of content and drive some search on that piece of content. My methodology was really around, I want to make a lot of money from this channel and I want to build a lot of things and build it at scale. And another thing I was really fortunate about is I reported to product leaders rather than marketing leaders.
Mm-hmm.
It helped me to think about marketing and SEO from a product angle. And I started developing this methodology and speaking at conferences and writing, and I started getting inbound consulting. People asking questions from really cool brands saying, hey, we have a problem. Can you help us out with this? We fly you to our office? And I said, well, I got a team meeting. And, enough of that started happening that I quit working full time and started doing consulting full time.
Nice.
2019, working with companies doing this. I initially started anything SEO, really it was just, you want SEO, I was gonna help you out with SEO. And then I refined that idea down to, I want to work with companies that can build products around SEO. And I started blogging about it. And as I blogged about it more, it turned into a book. And I needed a name for it. And everything led, right? Product led,
Yeah.
and all this led. And I was like, what I'm doing is product led SEO, which is really building products around what people are searching for rather than building a piece of content around what people are searching for. So that's the book. It's really how to approach SEO.
You said building a product around
Building
what
a
people
product around what people are searching for to scale it.
Yeah.
So I had an interesting conversation with someone here yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
She was asking me about her food blog and how she can compete with other people in the food blog space.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed her how she can go on Google Suggest and type in the names of foods and see the suggested queries. Then you do that 5 times on different things, you'll see a pattern. So let's say it's caffeine. Let's say it's cholesterol. So that's the product. You now build a product around the cholesterol content of the food, scale it out to all the foods rather than writing about the food like everyone else does. So you differentiate. So that becomes an actual product. And that's where there's scale. And I've worked with some really amazing companies and helping them to develop the product that people are searching for.
Interesting.
Rather than here's the keywords you need to focus on, which is simply what everyone else is doing in SEO. And that's really the book. Is like, how do you think about this from a bigger perspective? How do you understand algorithms, and do algorithms matter? How do you understand links? Do links matter? It all does, but in a way different way than when thinking on a micro level and just thinking about keywords and content.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I love that kind of just flipping it on its head and like turning it around a little bit, because I think that's something that is more. It's obviously more forward thinking in marketing and the way that we're building products. Because a lot of times, especially in, are you mostly in B2B or B2C?
I'm primarily B2C.
Oh, okay.
And the reason is because in B2B there's not a lot of search.
That's what I was gonna say. So I've mostly done most of my work in B2B, but in B2C, a lot of times consumers are like, oh, I really need something that's gonna help me with X, and they're proactively searching for that thing. And B2B is like, oftentimes they don't even know like what they need to like help them, and so you almost have to create a market.
Yep.
So curious on that question there. A lot of times companies are saying like, oh well, a lot of times like Apple, like people don't know what they want. We have to make a thing and then tell them they want it. Would you say that aligns with your methodology, or is that almost contradictory to product led? Because it sounds like.
So in those cases, I suggest that companies don't do SEO.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, I consulted with a company in the HR space.
Yeah.
SEO was challenging because they've already achieved all of the SEO keywords that they could ever have. There is no tail. I want a payroll tool. I want an insurance tool. I want a 401k tool. That's it. There's very defined things that HR searches for.
Yeah.
And that's it. They're not like, oh, I'll dabble with this thing and I'll dabble with that thing and I need to read more content. And especially with tools like that, where you have very few competitors, they're going to find the competitors regardless of how bad they do SEO and how well you do SEO.
Right.
So I interviewed at Google. This is during COVID, so it was mostly for fun. I was bored and I wanted to interview at Google because they reached out to me, and
Nice.
it was a role on Google Cloud. And I was very curious about why they cared about SEO so much for Google Cloud. Why they were willing to spend tens of millions of dollars in SEO. And they had a whole team, which made no sense to me, because the product they're selling, and this is not Sheets. Actually, it could be Sheets too, but this was specifically the cloud tools. So if you are looking for a cloud tool, you're going to find out that Amazon also has one and Microsoft has one too. And you're going to decide between the three of them, regardless of where Google Cloud is ranking on Google, which already is weird, right? So that is not the channel that you
Right.
use to discover and to buy. It's a
Right.
channel you may use to be like, well, I want to know if Google Cloud can do this because I already talked to a salesperson, so I'll Google it, but it's not a deciding factor in that. So in B2B, that's sort of the challenge. There's two things there. One is it doesn't matter that much,
Right.
because people are finding it regardless.
Okay.
Word of mouth, sales. They're find one company they type in like what is another company, and that's not going to help them decide which company they should choose. The other challenge is like you just said, they don't know they need it. It's an innovation. So for example, let's say you sell an analytics tool and it helps save hours and hours and hours from like the analytics person who's every morning wakes up and does a 4-hour report. They hate it. Their life sucks, but they don't know that their life sucks, and there's a way to improve that with the tool that you've created, because they don't know they should search for it. Now, if you do demand gen and you approach them at a conference, or you have an ad on Facebook, now they know your tool exists, but that comes from that channel.
Right.
It's not like they wake up and say, my life sucks, I'm running all these reports in Excel. There's no query there, so they're not searching for it. So I wouldn't even recommend you do SEO.
Interesting. Yeah. No, that's good recommendation. I mean, that's coming from a consulting expert. So write that one down.
That one's free.
Yeah, that one's free, but it's honest too, because it's like, hey, well, maybe this isn't right for you. Because I think, I even working with a client right now, and a vendor that we have that's helping with campaigns is like, well, we want to do an SEO audit to your site and make sure everything is searchable and blah blah blah, and that's fine and good, but leaning on it as like the primary in a B2B SaaS tech model, the weight there isn't as strong as what you're saying, right?
I don't even think an SEO audit would give upside for a B2B company.
Interesting.
So a lot of times an SEO audit will focus on best practices.
Yeah.
You need to do this. If you don't do this, you're not going to benefit. You're not
Yeah.
going to rank. And yesterday in my talk, I wasn't really a talk. It was a panel with Russ, and it was amazing.
Oh, okay.
We had a great discussion.
Yeah.
I brought up an example with a client of mine who's in the designer space. They resell actual designer stuff, so like Louis Vuitton. And I was doing a little research, and I searched Louis Vuitton bags, and I found the site ranking. It's madeinchina.com. I'm positive that they're actually not Louis Vuitton bags. They are fake Louis Vuitton bags. Now, they're selling fake Louis Vuitton bags. They don't want Louis Vuitton to know. So they don't use the word Louis Vuitton. They use the word L ###V, right? They're not even saying Louis Vuitton. They're not saying Louis. They're not saying Vuitton. They're not even saying,
Because they're trying to be under the radar.
But Google knows. Google found them, put them there for Louis Vuitton bags. So an SEO audit will be like, you need to use more keywords in your title tag. And I'm here to tell you, you don't. An SEO audit might say, you need to get more links. And I used to work at SurveyMonkey. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but when I was at SurveyMonkey, on 3 occasions, we got links from whitehouse.gov. Didn't do a thing.
Okay.
Highest domain authority possible, didn't do a thing. Because links don't matter. They only matter in context.
Right.
Whitehouse.gov is not an authoritative site for surveys.
Right.
So it doesn't help. Now, if we were in politics, the White House recommended that we do something, that would be a different story. So an SEO audit might say, you need more links. And I would say, why? You're B2B. You're fine. So
interesting.
That's why I wouldn't recommend really going deep into SEO. And depending on the budgets a company has, it costs money, right? Like, why would you spend on an SEO audit if there's no SEO traffic? Now, if you're Google Cloud, feel free. They buy ads on subways and they paint buses. They can spend money on SEO just in case.
Yeah, unlimited budget. But if you're in like kind of that growth startup type of phase or B2B, you're always looking to try to spend your money wisely and invest your time wisely. So you want to make sure you're doing it strategically with SEO and also being product led.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
I like this. I was looking at this one chapter here. Chapter 3, SEO is a job for humans. I love that. I'm sure anyone out there who's an SEO specialist and marketer, and anyone who's worried about being replaced by bots and machines would appreciate this chapter title. So this is where actually it says you joined SurveyMonkey right there at the beginning. What do you mean by SEO is a job for humans?
So there's all these tools that claim to do AI for SEO, and they'll write your content. But to me, that's foolish because people are buying. So if you have this AI written content and it's not trustworthy enough for you to click buy, then what's the point?
Yeah.
So you showed up on Google, you had the AI written content, and then no one wants to buy from you because you're just a robot.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't use this example, but you go to those websites and you want to chat with them, and they're like, "Oh, welcome to Cynthia. It's our chatbot." It's like, I don't want to chat with your chatbot. If I wanted to chat with your chatbot, I would Google stuff, right? Like, that's the idea. It's like you're not buying from robots.
Did you see the first session yesterday?
I missed that.
Oh, okay, because it was all about chatbots. Diana from HubSpot was talking about chatbots and things like that, and how they're helping to manage traffic. But I mean, I agree with you. I try to circumvent them personally.
If you want to talk to a person, you want to talk to a person.
Yes.
So that's the thing. If you want to buy, if I wanted to buy from a robot, I'd buy from a robot. But I want to buy from people.
Yeah.
So you found a shortcut that you save money on writing real content.
Yeah.
But how much of a shortcut is it really if it don't sell anything?
I think and again, it's with context and with how you're using it, maybe to help kind of manage customer service questions, point people to FAQs,
certainly.
But maybe not as much.
That's
on
not
the
your
sales
SEO,
side.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's good to see that we still need humans in our marketing org wherever we can. But
I see we're up on the big screen.
Oh, hey, yeah. Is that? Oh no, that's you from before. That's you talking to Russ.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry.
No, you're good. We're looking at the big screen across the room, and it looks like you had an interview with Russ, the MC, previously.
Oh no, he's probably criticizing something I said on SEO.
That's very weird, right? That he's over there talking about you, and we're sitting here talking about him talking about you.
Yeah, we're in the vortex here.
Oh, we're in the vortex.
Sorry to all the listeners and watchers.
Gosh. Yeah, they're like, "What are you guys talking about?" Anyway, cool. Well, I think obviously there's a lot that people can learn from you, from consulting. If you guys need help with your SEO strategy, especially if you're product led, you got to come out and hire Eli. Also, pick up his book
on Amazon. Leave a good review.
Of course. Bestseller, right? We were talking about books before we started this podcast and talking about tips and tricks there. So, but cool, man. Thanks for sitting down. It was a pleasure meeting you, and I'm looking forward to reading the book myself. So
yeah, absolutely.
Right on, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right, man. We're gonna end the broadcast now.